day, and she's very successful at it. Okay, her tail's up now. I can just see the white flash. So I think she's been spotted by a bird. Oh no, she's gone down again. Have you got her now? Is that that marula tree there, Dave? And where the termite mound is? Just to the left of it, in the shadow. There we go, there she is. Still, you see those ears are up, and she's definitely convinced that there's something worth snacking on in this area. As you can see, we're giving her a nice distance at the moment. So she's not stalking just yet. She's more still just walking through. I'm just going to get onto the road, which is right in front of us here. And I'm just going to say good morning to yours. Morning, yours. So she's moving parallel. So I'm actually going to just drive past her now. I can see her there. But, of course, you don't want to be directly behind the leopard and stuff, especially if she is stalking something, because the noise of the vehicle might attract whatever she's stalking to look in our general direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit further past, and I've got visual of her there. I'm just going to turn the vehicle. And Dave should give you a view of her. Look at that, Dave. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. So she's actually stopped hunting now. She's shown herself. You got it, Dave?
Nope.
Just zoom. Straight through that gap. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. There she is. So she's now climbed up. Let me just maybe try. There. Oh, there's one little branch, of course. Oh, there. Oh no. But she's climbed up, so she's actually either been spotted or she's given up on the hunt. Or maybe not given up yet, but I think she's hunting by smell at the moment. I think after all this rain, all the smells were washed away, and there's a very distinct smell that'll be left by a little antelope. If you were a leopard, of course, I don't think we would be able to smell it, even if we put our noses to the ground. I think she's smelling out where they could possibly be. So this area in front of us is possibly one of the most difficult spots in Djuma to follow anything. It is incredibly thick, so we will try, but if I feel that it's getting too thick and we might disturb her or interfere with her hunting in any way, I'll definitely just leave her be. So you can see how alert she is, head up, searching the bush in front of her. Using those ears to great effect. She's probably listening for the most minuscule sound of a duiker plucking leaves off a bush. And it looks like she's given up. Oh dear. Okay. You're holding on, Dave?
Yep.
There's a big hole caused by elephants we're about to drive through. Oop-a. Watch branches there, Dave. I nearly got smack. We got her, Dave. I've lost her. She could have just moved and stopped in a shadow again. I'm just going to go a little bit more. As you can see, there's almost a wall of trees. The biggest problem about this particular area is the elephants have pushed over so many trees in here that even if you do get through, so I think she might disappear. And she does have cubs, and we have had some fantastic views so far. And I don't want to... Oh, there we go. Well spotted, Dave. There she is. It's amazing how that camouflage works. She just disappears. So Felicity is wondering, why do birds alarm call at her, even though she's not... Oh, she's definitely stalking. Felicity, I'll get you. There could be something we can't see close by here. So we're just going to sit still and listen and try to peer through these thickets at what's going on. There she comes, Dave. She's coming through this thicket. Yeah, I can just catch a rosette every second or two. There she goes, through that hole there. Sorry, guys, I can just see her. Just make her out. I've lost sight of her now. So she's moving this way. She might come out over here, but I think she's going to be a little bit beyond that. Sorry, Felicity. Felicity was asking, why would a bird alarm call even though it's not her intended target? We're just going to pop through here. So we're probably about 50 or 60 meters back from where I last saw her. Okay, I've got her again. Now we can test Dave's eyesight again. This is so much fun. Okay, to the right. Oh, you got her. Well done, Dave. So, Felicity, when leopards are cubs, they chase birds often and will try to catch them. And birds will alarm generally at all predators that get into their space, whether it be a snake or a leopard or even a lion. So it's just an instinctive response to anything that can possibly eat you. Oh, she's changing direction again. Looks like she changed direction. As I said, we're staying quite far back from her. I don't want to be too close to her while she's hunting. I don't want to make it easier for her. I also don't want to make it harder for the prey to escape. We're here as neutral observers, and hopefully she does catch something because she's got those cubbies to feed. 1 second, guys. Standing by.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get in here, my vehicle.
Copy, Ayos. I don't think I'm going to be able to follow much further either. She's going right into those sections of broken trees.
Thanks a lot for that, Brent.
No problem. Glad you got to enjoy. So I'm just going to sit for a little bit and listen, even though we don't have visual of her. I don't want to disturb her hunting. So while we're going to let her move on a little bit, and I'm just going to stand by and listen to see if I hear any more alarm calls further on. While we do that, let's jump on with Djuma.
While you were with Brent, one of the lionesses decided to move right up next to the car. I think possibly because we've chosen a nice spot of shade. They've decided that they are comfortable enough to come right up to us. She's lying, if I had to give you a sort of an estimate of the distance, she's lying about 2.5 meters from us, so about 7.5 feet away from the vehicle. Totally comfortable. There you go. You can see exactly how close she is. Fast asleep. Very smelly here as well, but it doesn't smell like lions. It smells like waterbuck to me. I know that we've been incredibly lucky on this Sunday morning. Great way to start off the Sunday morning with 2 cat sightings in one morning show. Remy was wondering how close is Karula to the Styx females, because of course the last thing we want to do is have them encounter each other. Remy, if I'm completely honest, I have no idea where Brent is. I have no idea where that sighting is. I'm on a different radio channel. So I'm sitting with controlling the sighting on one channel. There we go, we've got information. And Remy, he is basically on the other side of the reserve. So no, they are not close at all. We are in the, to give you some perspective, I wish I had my map with me, but I don't. We are in the southwestern corner of Djuma. We're right down there at the join between Arathusa and Djuma. That is the corner of Djuma. Brent is up in the middle of the northeastern corner. So we're in the southwestern, he's in the northeastern corner, in a straight line. If I had to guess, I don't know exactly where he is, but if I had to guess about where he was, it would be about a mile away, if not more, maybe just more than a mile, and just over 2 kilometers or 2.5 kilometers. He's quite far away. And Karula, she might not be a spring chicken in terms of leopard age, but that means she comes with plenty of experience. These ladies were not quiet last night. I'm sure that Karula knows that they are here. And they crossed last night around Simbambili and obviously came south from there, so that's up towards the gate and our northwestern corner, and they've walked all the way down south, calling as they go. The big belly stretched out. That is not just buffalo. You know, funnily enough, I think all 3 of them might be pregnant. I haven't had the best look at the female's stomach that's on the left. Oh, what's up, girl? She just made a little groaning noise as she sat up. That's what I did this morning, my girl, at 4 o'clock this morning. I also made that sound as I sat up. And since we've got this view of the lioness, and hopefully she's going to hold her paw still for us, so that we can answer a question from Marcel, who's watching all the way up north in Quebec, who wants to know, do they have extra thumb claws like domestic cats do? And they do, Marcel, on their front feet, and that's actually, if you look on your screen there, you can see her toes, and then on the inside, about a centimeter up, or an inch up from that top toe, there is another paw there, and there's another toe and another claw, known as the dew claw. It is one of the most powerful in a lion's weaponry. It's there in order to help them grip prey. I've been, I say fortunate enough, I have before encountered a lion carcass, and I was able to have a really close look at the anatomy and the paws of this lion. He was killed naturally in a fight with other males, and those dew claws are absolutely enormous. Although they're very similar in design to domestic cats, so 5 toes on the front, 4 on the back, the size difference and the strength difference in those claws is quite mind-boggling. And if I can sort of give you a rough idea, when I took the dew claw out of that dead lion and had a look at it in terms of scale, it was probably about the length and far thicker than my index finger. I wouldn't say I have the largest hands in the world, but that is a considerably large claw. And you'll see those claws start to come out when they're hunting and attempting to grip onto the back of prey. So yes, lions, just like domestic cats, very similar foot structure. It's known as digitigrade. So actually quite similar in a way to what James was telling you about the elephant yesterday and about where the wrist joint sits on an elephant. Lions are fairly similar in the sense that they walk on their tiptoes. It's not quite as elongated or pronounced as it is in elephants. But essentially what we think of sometimes as their knees is actually their ankles. The knees are, and their elbows are further up the arm itself, bending just like ours do, and then up to the shoulder joint. They don't have a heel in the same way we do. We have what's known as a plantigrade foot structure, so we're flat-footed, the whole bone and the bones of the foot extending all the way down, whereas they walk on their toes, essentially, with plenty of padding, and the reason they do that, it's quieter. One of those adaptations, built for speed and built for stealth. Having a jolly good clean. Those spines sitting on her tongue, rasping through her fur. And I'm just going to be quiet for a second, see if we can hear her again. No, unfortunately not. Oh, not quite. My goodness, that was, look at all that tongue. That is a serious tongue. Not often that you get to see them quite so extended. You usually only see the first half of it. There we go, a bit of rasping again. I don't think you're going to be able to hear it, so I'll try and describe it to you. It's almost like it's rubbing your hand on, or rubbing sandpaper down wood. It's a rasping sound. It's very soft, very subtle, but it is there. You can hear her as she cleans her fur. I think she's actually got a clicky jaw as well. I keep hearing clicks as she does that. Beautiful. There's nothing quite like the color of a lion or a leopard, but a lion in the morning sunlight. Those eyes. I'm going to go lie down with her pride mate now. She's going to lie down on top of her. Yep. Ooh. Grumble, 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 grumble. Grumbling at each other with love. Very gentle growls. The one just moved and rolled over since she sat on her head. Oh, look at those eyes. It's very common when lions clean themselves like that, when they have a really jolly good clean, when they yawn a couple of times and lick their feet. It's very common for them to get up and move afterwards. No, the question is just how far they're going to decide to move. There she is, relaxed and down. Now, they've all proved incredibly successful in terms of their hunting abilities and strategies. Oh, there's that paw, beautifully stretched out. You might even see the claws start to peek out of their claw sheaths. Awesome view of that paw. Look at the dirt underneath the pad. An update for some of you that many of you will know Shanae. She's just joined us at the sighting with her vehicle full of guests. Morning! I'm sure very much enjoying her first few weeks as a fully qualified safari guide, and I admire her tremendously for coming to join the guiding team of the Sabi Sands. It's wonderful to have her on board. Right, back to the conversation about the heavily pregnant lionesses. Anna-Marie would like to know when a lioness is as pregnant, when she's sort of reaching late stage or the late terms, will they participate less in hunting? Not in my experience, Anna-Marie. Generally, they take up the same positions and the same risks. One of those amazing things about animals compared to people, the way in which they are adapted to survival, even whilst heavily pregnant. And of course, for someone like, not someone, but something like Karula, a female like Karula, as a leopard, would be hunting all on her own, even right up until she goes into labor. And the same applies for the lionesses, even though there are others to do the hunting for them. They don't know that they need to be resting up in their condition, and they don't, generally. Anna-Marie, that being said, it's not impossible. Oh, yes, get comfortable there on the grass. Big sigh. A big girl. You're now even closer than the other lioness was. I'm not going to move for a while because I don't want to scare you with the starting of the engine. With Bew, maybe they aren't the main chaser in a hunt, I don't think we know enough to say whether or not that happens. And certainly in the case, as I think is the case with these lions, I think they're all three of them pregnant. So obviously you can't all take turns in your internment as pregnant ladies to sit back and let everybody else do the work. But whether or not there's some difference in their strategy, I don't know enough to be able to tell you, and I don't think anybody does. But I'll double check that for you, Anna Marie, and just see if there's any research that's been done into pregnant females. To the best of my knowledge, there's not much difference in their hunting strategies. And speaking of hunting strategies, let us find out how Karula's hunt went and whether Brent has any news for you.
So she went into some really thick stuff, and as I said, we're staying quite far back. We don't want to interfere in any way, whether it be a positive for her or a negative for her. So we could hear some birds alarm calling deeper into the block, but we made the call to leave her be. Let's let her hunt in peace. We can't really follow her without affecting in that really thick bush. So we've let her carry on, and hopefully she's successful. She does have two little hungry mouths to feed, and maybe we'll catch up with her a little bit later on the safari, or even on the sunset safari. We know which general area she's in, and we all know Karula likes to zigzag like no other leopard I've ever followed. So who knows, she might just pop back up onto the road. So it was really wonderful. We got to catch up with her. So great. I love spending time with that particular leopard, and I know all of you guys do as well. And also, we do want to give her the space she needs to hunt and to raise those cubs. So we're going to continue on, see what else is out there in the bushes, and hopefully we'll have lots of other interesting things to show you. So while we move on, I know you guys can't wait to get back to Jamie and those gorgeous girls.
The third lioness, also now having a jolly good wash. She'll probably get up in a moment as well. And as you can see, their patch of shade slowly shrinking away, and she's starting to be exposed to the sun. And there's much better shade right here next to our vehicle. So I imagine we will soon have a third lioness lying down right on top of us. A very special feeling that, to sit with an animal that is relaxed enough to behave in the way it would, regardless of whether or not you were there. And to be content to lie right next to you in the present. And there's plenty of choice for them. We haven't, maybe the way I phrased it makes it sound like we've stolen the only patch of shade. We definitely haven't. There's plenty of options for them. It just so happens that they feel comfortable enough with us to come and sit with us. So, same as the technique of the lioness before her, scraping away at those claws and feet, making sure that there's no build-up of dirt around them. In a very lazy way. She's the last female to have a good look and see if she's pregnant. As for how pregnant they are, that remains to be seen. I would not claim to be any sort of expert in terms of determining exactly how far along they are. To me, the large female in front of us that you're looking at on your screen now, to me she looks pretty much coming close towards the end of her term. But that remains to be seen. It will probably disappear off on her own for a while, and we'll only find out in a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two whether or not she has given birth, depending on where she decides to disappear off to. And if anybody bumps into her, of course. White tips of the whiskers that you can see, all a very important part of being a nocturnal hunting cat and moving through the bush. Make sure that you don't poke out your eyes or poke yourself in the face. chatting a little bit about the pregnancy of these females, Luke would like to know, is it likely that the Birmingham boys are the fathers of these cubs, or is it possible it is another male? That is a very interesting, quite a complex question, because more and more research is suggesting that up to 45% of lioness pregnancies, or the paternity of cubs, is not actually the males belonging to the coalition that dominates the pride. It's one of those fascinating things. We've chatted a lot about that when it comes to leopards and the fact that they move through an area and will mate with as many males as possible in order to ensure that the males of the area think that they are the fathers. So Luke, probably yes, most likely the Birmingham boys are the fathers, but only just. And who knows what these ladies have been up to, whether or not they have found themselves a mystery male. There are nomadic males that move throughout areas regularly. Just because we don't see them doesn't mean that they're not there. And the Styx home range could put them more towards the territories of other males as well. It's a difficult one. One of those things that you will never know unless you actually do genetic tests on them. Certainly the Birmingham boys will think that they are the fathers. They've been seen mating with them. There we go. Hi, girl. Where would you like to go? My hiccups. How awesome is that? Beautiful. Right behind the vehicle. And down. There we go. Did we pick a spot that you want to be in? Oh, how lovely. Nothing like being surrounded by a pride of lions first thing in the morning. You can go to sleep, big girl. It's fine. Yes. Obviously, this is an ideal situation, although maybe not so ideal. Franklin, shush, I'm talking. Okay, I'll let you finish first. Here we go. Flopped behind the back of the vehicle. What I was going to say was this is an ideal situation because the animal, rather than us encroaching on the animal's space, the animal has chosen to come to us first. Now, for those of you who see us in these open vehicles, and I know that certainly if you're watching for the first time and you haven't seen this happen before, you might be concerned that we might be in some kind of danger and some kind of risk. And the answer is no, because our cameramen generally know exactly how to behave on the back of the vehicle, and the lions are incredibly accustomed to it. Plus, the fact that she chose to come to us is a very important factor in that decision. That being said, wild animals, you never get complacent. So, although I'm perfectly comfortable with her lying here, she's not going to jump on the back of the vehicle with us. We're not on our menu, we're not a threat to her, she has no reason to. I'm not ever going to take that for absolute 100% granted. I'm always watching what's happening in the sighting around me, even if it's a perfectly comfortable situation, just in case we have to act fast. It's just a matter of reading their body language. You don't ever want to get complacent where wild animals are concerned, and you certainly don't want to be arrogant enough to believe yourself, fully capable of predicting exactly what they're going to do, because they're animals and they're wild, and it's their choice what they decide to do. Luke, we were talking about the fathers. The Birmingham boys will certainly consider themselves to be the fathers of the female's cubs. They have mated, and that is a distinct possibility, probably with about 55, 60, maybe up to 70% chance that they are. But lionesses are sneaky when it comes to mating. They will do anything for the safety of their cubs, so mating with as many males as possible will ensure the safety of their offspring. Because whilst male lions maybe don't know an area per se if they're nomadic, they will still recognize individual females that they have mated with, and they will know that they have mated with them. It's a very clever strategy, and one that hasn't been fully researched yet. It's something that is slowly coming to light more and more, and something that took researchers at the time quite by surprise. You might also find that those exact numbers or those exact statistics that I gave you, they were from a report, but you might find that it differs from area to area. So different lion prides and different males may behave in completely separate ways in other parts of in the country where there are other ecological circumstances at play. Interesting one. Goodness me. Franklin, are you quite finished? Or are you still going to shout at us? Have you spotted them? Ah, there we go. Well done, Liam. There's our noisy culprit responsible for the racket that you've been hearing. Here's our lioness watching it walk away. Is she? Oh no, it's just the way that the perspective is. It almost looked like she was resting her head against the tree, which they do. I'm going to make use of pillows wherever you can find them. And just to continue our discussion is not a word, discussion about the mating and the dynamics of the lions of this area. Liz was wondering, since we know now that the Nkuhumas and the Sticks are sort of both mating with the Birmingham boys, is there a chance that this leads to a loss of genetic diversity? It's the way that it always is with lion dynamics. Listen, Franklin, you and I need to have a very stern talking to about who gets to talk and waiting your turn and not interrupting. You finished? Good. Right. So, male territories, much larger than those of the home ranges of the female, and generally overlap with several different prides. And it's one of the reasons why tenures of male lions tend to be so short. They've got about 1, maybe 2 sets of cubs to get through before they reach the sort of point past their prime and a new set of males comes in. So what it does for the lioness prides of the area, although yes, to an extent, it means that 2 sets of females are mating with the same males, that's not really a problem because it provides them with extra stability. So let's say the Birmingham boys controlled the Sticks and the Matimbas still controlled the Nkuhumas, for example, and they sat right next to each other on territorial boundaries. The Nkuhumas could find themselves in serious risk of the Birmingham boys killing their cubs because that is a natural male response to reduce competition for his own offspring, and the Matimbas might do something similar in reverse. So it makes sense to have a male coalition in charge of several different prides to provide a little bit of extra security for that generation of cubs coming through. Then once he's reproduced, the males have, and don't forget there are 5 Birmingham boys, so there's still variation within that. They're not all directly related to each other, they're cousins or brothers, but they're not the same lion. And certainly different males will have fertilized different females. Goodness me, Franklin. He missed the day at etiquette school. Doing his dawn chorus. And I've completely derailed from my train of thought. Yes, so they'll have maybe 1 set of cubs, maybe 2, at which point a new set of younger males will be able to come through. They will kill any remaining cubs that are not past or have not reached a certain age, bring the females back into estrus, and thus start mating with them, and therefore keep the genetic lines of lions totally fresh. I'm sorry, girl. I'm bugging you. It's all right. Doesn't look too stressed. And she just gave me quite a serious look, and she's still doing it. She's still looking straight into my eyes. Robin was wondering, Robin watching in Maryland, is it unnerving to have a lion look you straight in the eyes? Robin, after a certain period of time, you get very used to it. But I can't begin to describe that feeling. It's that instant connection to that animal, and I don't mean connection in an affectionate way necessarily, although of course I feel affection to them. They certainly don't feel the same towards me. I'm merely just something else in their immediate environment. But Robin, the first time a lion looks into your eyes, it becomes exceptionally intimidating. There is atavistic instinct at play there that immediately kicks in, and you're aware of something much bigger, much stronger, much faster, with far larger teeth and certainly with far larger claws than you have, and that is perfectly capable, if she chose to do so, of causing serious damage. And yes, that is an awareness that strikes, or certainly has... It's quite hard to take this conversation seriously when they're being so cutesy, rolling over and cuddling themselves.
Now it's a long line.
Now it's a very long line. It's a long, double-length, 8-legged lion. Viam's absolutely right. Amber, the feeling of when a lion looks into your eyes remains a constant fascination to me. It no longer induces fear, but there is an awareness there, and I can't quite describe it. Your heart rate lifts almost automatically, but it's something that I've come to cherish, those moments, and that connection that you are allowed, that we are lucky enough to have with the animals we get to view every day. Now, there is one animal that when it looks into your eyes, you are very much aware of some intelligence looking back at you, and that, of course, is the elephant. And speaking of elephants, I think that Brent may possibly have found you some, so why don't you go and have a look?
Look at that. There's an elephant having a little rest on the bank of a little creek bed, just taking some weight off of that heavy head. And there we go. Let's start feeding again. We found a lovely big breeding herd, probably about 25 or 30 individuals. And the rest of them are actually passing behind us, but we will have a look at them now. Look at this, look at this, look at that. Oh, hello. Saying hello to the other elephant. Well, it almost just looks like just resting that heavy head and having a scratch against there we go, having a nice... Isn't that beautiful? Now, up the steep bank, look onto her knees to get up. Isn't that amazing? We have been so spoiled with elephants in the last couple of months. I'm just going to move the car slightly. We've seen some incredible behavior. And we're going to go catch up with the rest of the herd that are about to pop onto the road up ahead here. Isn't this amazing? What a morning we're having so far. So hi, Samantha, who's 10. And Samantha's wondering, how tall will a baby elephant grow to be? Well, Samantha, it depends on a male or female. The females will probably get to just over 2.5 meters at the shoulder, and the males can get up to 4 meters. I'm afraid, Samantha, my feet conversions are not very good. And a big female elephant will probably weigh around 3,500 kilograms, 3.5 ton. And a big male can weigh up to 6,000 kilograms. The largest ever recorded elephant is from southern Angola, and that weighed 9,000 kilograms, 9 tons. Absolutely incredible. Hello. I'm hoping they're going to move towards the Buffalo's Hook waterhole and go for a splish splash. We're sitting now, the last bits of the herd are just off to here. The rest are actually using the road as a highway. And we get asked often how the roads are built and whatnot. And often the roads are old elephant paths. So we have a question from within our very own team, from Leanne, who's one of the APs, about an elephant's feet, as we see walking away from us there. She would like to know whether they're born with calloused feet or not. Well, Leanne, what happens is, in utero, those thick pads will develop, very similar to the way the warthog's elbow pads develop when they feed. So they are born with a very thick layer of skin on their feet. Of course, as they get older, they become harder and more calloused the more they walk on this in this rough environment. But they are born with a nice thick layer of skin already to protect their feet. Okay, let's move forward a little bit. It's very important, start the car, don't move immediately, and into low range so we can keep our revs really low so we don't upset the eddies at all. Although this herd looks particularly relaxed, it's always good practice to do it even with a very relaxed herd, just in case you do come across a herd one day that's not so relaxed. Looks like they've changed the direction slightly, or they split. Seems like some of them have gone off into this very thick bush here. And looks like they all have gone off into this very thick bush here. So there's quite a few little babies with this herd, so we're not going to follow them into that thick bush. So I think we're going to go back to the last members of the herd, who will catch up with them shortly. But what a morning so far. Hello, little man. Now he has taken a very large piece of buffalo thorn there. I hope you're going to finish your food, mister. No wasting here. You can hear him crunching on that branch. There we go. He's going to bring it back up to his mouth. He's trying to get... There we go. So what he's trying to get there is the bark and the rich cambium layer that transports the nutrients. There we go. There we go. You've got a nice big piece of bark there that transports the nutrients from the roots through to the rest of the plant and the water. Hey, mister, that's wasting. Pick it up again. There we go. Good boy. The elephants are very messy feeders, and they don't digest a lot of what they eat. Look, isn't that fascinating? He's standing on the edge of the branch and then using his trunk and his tusk as a lever to break it up and get to the good bits. It's amazing how dexterous they are with that trunk.
Still 3 more, and maybe...
Look, there we go. He's doing it again. So, using his... There we go. And standing on it so it doesn't move. And he's able to rip the bark off. Pesky thorns getting stuck on all the surrounding bushes. Now, Justin was wondering, can you feel when a large elephant walks past you? Unbelievably not, Justin. So they have an incredible sort of shock absorber system in their feet, and they've got this large cartilaginous pad, and they can walk very softly and very quietly for an animal of that size. Here we go. He's finally got the big piece of bark he wanted. Lots of effort. As I said, they don't digest a lot of what they eat. Probably, depending on what they're eating, between 40 and 60% of what they eat is digested. So not very effective feeders, and that's why they have to continue to feed throughout the day and night. And a young bull like this will probably eat 150 kilograms. So over 400 pounds of vegetable matter in a day. They have the capabilities of also drinking about 100 liters of water in a day. To give you an idea, their trunk can hold about 8 liters of water at any one time. 8 liters is just under 2 gallons. If we watch carefully, he's going on the ground there, Dave. He's moved a fallen down tree to get that luscious grass. So normally in the summer months, this is an abnormal year because we have been having quite a big drought, and 80% of an elephant's diet will consist of grass. And then during the winter months, it'll change, and 80% will consist of trees and bushes, only 20% grass. And that's just due to food availability. But this year, there's been a huge focus on trees and bushes because there just hasn't been the grass to eat. As you can see, young bull staying on the peripheries. He hasn't quite kept up with the rest of the breeding herd. Look at that. Straight through. Not a worry in the world about those thorns on the blackthorn, those monstrous white thorns that would possibly impale you or I if we tried to do that, and we'd be squealing like a warthog that had a leopard attached to it. But that elephant's thick skin is so well adapted, and it protects them from all the thorns. You just put your head through it, and those lovely long eyelashes is one of the defenses they have to close their eyes when they get close to a thorn or whatnot, so their eyelashes will feel that branch or thorn before it goes into their eye. When he's found lots of nice grass under a fallen down tree there, long green grass. Look at how he's moving that fallen tree. I'm going to try and move back a little bit, and we can try and see what he's doing a bit better. See, very important, let the car run for a little bit, let him realize that we're not a threat at all, and then move very slowly. See, now he initially lifted his head, now he's gone back to feeding, and he's no more than about 4 foot from Dave at the moment. There we go. So when spending time with an incredibly large and powerful animal like an elephant, it's very important to understand their body language, and that's what keeps us safe, our experience and our knowledge. Look at him, after all that grass, and he's moved a fallen down branch to, there we go, he's going to do it again, to get to the other grass that's been protected. So the other animals obviously are not as strong as him. They can't just lift up fallen down branches and trees to get to what's growing underneath. There we go, look at that nice big mouthful of fresh green grass. It looks to me to be a very good grass species. It looks actually to be a grass called panicum. And that's a very, very sought after grazing grass by lots of animals. Hey, mister. So if we have a look at his eyes there, Dave, that he's so nice and close, we can have a look at those eyelashes in detail. See those lovely long lashes. I'm sure there's a few ladies who are a little jealous out there of this little boy who's got beautiful long lashes. And that's to protect the eyes from branches and thorns, so they'll touch the eyelashes first. So now he's coming even closer to us. Hey, mister. Look at that. So now it's very important to keep still. If he put his trunk out, he would actually reach over the whole vehicle. He got a little bit nervous, decided not to come any closer. He's going to move around the back of the car. Hey, don't get cheeky now, mister. Just behave yourself. He's coming around the other side now. I think he's going to slowly move off and join the rest of the breeding herd. And we had a question through So why did I call it a breeding herd? So when we refer to a breeding herd of elephants, it was from Jen in Minnesota. It's females with babies. So those females will be actively breeding when in estrus with musk bulls. So you do get bull herds of elephants. Sometimes they can get quite big, up to 10, 15 even. Sometimes even over 30 I've seen in other parts of Africa. And that would be a bull herd. So no breeding amongst all the boys. You need the girls for that. So a breeding herd is generally a group of related females and their offspring. Oh, look at this. This is so wonderful. Now, a very interesting question from Siberia, who's one of our zoomies. Those who are not sure what a zoomie is, a zoomie is a wonderful creature that looks after and zooms on the stationary waterhole cameras all about. And Siberia would like to know, do elephants ever chew on bones like giraffe, impala, and some of the other antelopes? Siberia, I've never seen them do it. I've seen them pick up many bones and play with bones, but I've never actually seen them chew bones. On the other hand, I have seen them eat mud, and I've even seen them eat mud here, and specifically around the Mwati drainage, and I think they get more calcium probably from chewing that mud than they would get from chewing a bone. So I might be wrong, but I personally have never seen an elephant chew a bone. And I have seen a lot of elephants. In the area I grew up in, Botswana, we could see up to 1,000 elephant in an afternoon game drive along the Kondo River. Well, while those elephants move off, we're going to do the same. Siberia has also said, well, let's go find a buffalo so we can see 4 out of the big 5 in one drive. Siberia, I will do my best to find you a buffalo. I think our best chance is to head down towards where some pans, and we might find one of those old boys having a spa day. So while we leave the great grey behemoths and go in search of a dark black, not so great, but still a behemoth, let's go back to Jamie with the gorgeous ladies.
Such exhausted kitty cats. Hey, big girls, still fast asleep. Now, I did move because all 3 of them moved straight behind the vehicle, and I moved both for their sake and for ours. Luckily, they didn't even stir when we turned on the vehicle and moved away from them, and just repositioned ourselves ever so slightly so that we've got a view of them and that we don't have to twist around to try and film them from behind us. And I wanted them, because they were all up with their heads up, I didn't want to wait until they were fast asleep and then have to leave them for the morning and start the engine and disturb them. I waited until all 3 heads were up, and then we moved forward a bit and out of their personal space. Interesting to watch the 3 of them and the way that they are behaving. First of all, of course, we get that tremendous sense that they are very comfortable with us at the vehicle, or within the vehicle itself. That being said, we've been kept a very close eye on by the female closest to us. Every time we move around or we shift, she just looks up and gives us a careful stare, bearing in mind that all 3 of them chose to come right up to us. But she has watched us carefully, and I think that's because she's the closest to giving birth to her cubs. She's just that little bit. She's got the pregnancy hormones. The fact that she probably feels a little bit uncomfortable and a bit vulnerable being that large and that close to term. And it immediately plays a role in the impacts on the way in which she behaves. I think this could well be not one of our last chances to see her forever, but I think we're getting close to the point at which she's going to go and hide herself away. I'm no expert, I'm not a vet or an expert on lion pregnancy, but it looks to me like that should be the case. And you get to the point right before they're about to give birth, they start to develop an almost waxy-like look around the nipples as they start to lactate. And I'm struggling, but I think I might have seen a couple of examples of that on her. Wonderful news for the Styx Pride, soon to be supplemented by the newest members. And she'll keep
Pitter of tiny paws.
Pitter-pat, exactly. VM's got it exactly right. We shall soon be expecting the pitter-patter of tiny paws wandering through the bush. That's such a cute image. It's far more appealing to me than the pitter-patter of tiny feet. Now, we've spoken a lot about the dynamics and the role which the Birmingham boys will play in the lives of these cubs, and the fact that they have provided a secure situation in which the females can raise their cubs. Jess, who's watching on Twitter, was wondering, will a male lion, protect cubs that he believes to be his own? And the answer to that, Jess, is yes, in a way. By providing and defending a territory in which the females can safely raise cubs in a way that other males are discouraged, males that might be a threat to lion cubs, they would be discouraged from entering the territory. By doing that, they are actually almost actively, or maybe a better way is it's a consequence of protecting a territory and creating that safe environment for the cubs to live in. That being said, let's say this is a situation now, we've got happy families, we've got cubs scampering about over mommy, and proud daddy's lying up a little way away in the shade. I was painting a picture that maybe we will see in 2 or 3 months' time when these cubs are born. And a leopard's a bad example, a clan of hyenas enters the scene. Yes, absolutely, the males are going to chase those chase those hyena away. That's an example of where they are actively protecting it. Whether or not it's because they're specifically protecting the cubs or they're acting on natural male instincts, which is to get rid of the competition, is up to you to decide exactly how you interpret that. They certainly are exceptionally tolerant of their youngsters. They'll let them climb all over them. They'll let them bite their ears. Another example, let's say a buffalo herd came through, and buffalo are known to kill lion cubs. They actually actively seek out and stamp on lion cubs if they find where they're hiding. Would a male step in that situation? Yes, probably, absolutely he would, to remove them from his offspring. So that whilst they are not dads in the specific sense, let's say like a male raptor might be, playing an active role in feeding and guarding his youngster, they certainly play an enormous, if somewhat backstage part in the survival of their cubs. And we chatted and we mentioned buffalo. I know that Brent was on a search for the big four on your wonderful Sunday morning. Let us find out if he has found the final and 4th member for you.
So we found the missing member of the big four, but I'm more excited by the bird on its back. It is a yellow-billed oxpecker. And there's been a phenomenal recovery of these birds in the last couple of years. And, of course, there's a buffalo underneath it. And sorry, I forgot to mention that. But I'm far more excited about the bird on the back. And they are absolutely beautiful, quite a bit bigger than the red-billed oxpecker. And we'll try to get close again. That oxpecker was being very kind, letting us get very close to him and the buffalo without flying off. And you can see that incredible color in its eye, that red eye. So we came in search of buffalo, and we got a bonus. Oh, he's having a scratch. Now, you see, he's just having a little scratch there. Now, there we go, there's that yellow-billed oxpecker. Let's have a look at the buffalo. trying to get the ticks out from behind his ears, having a good scratch on the branch there. Now, a very interesting thing is, especially when you're around drainage systems, you find timberties that have been debarked, and timberties are quite noxious, and elephants don't eat them generally, and they won't eat the bark. And look at that. Oh, zit! You can hear that oxpecker. It's calling to the others that are answering off in the bush here. There's another buffalo in there with another oxpecker, and I saw it earlier. It was a juvenile yellow-billed. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if the juvenile... Here it comes, it's coming, come back. It looks like it's flying to join the adult. I saw it take off. Calling its youngster. So the young one doesn't quite have those coloration yet. The bill's still a dark grey. Here it comes. There's the baby. Boom! At least that listens, unlike human babies who probably don't come when they're called. So we're going to see if we can have a look now at both of them. These buffalo are slowly moving towards a nice set of wallows that are just down here. We're just going to pop up ahead of him. He's nearly at the wallow. Hey, big boy. And you have two pretty hitchhikers. There you go, he's found some nice grass to graze on. So there we go, we've got a perfect view of the juvenile and adult oxpeckers on the back. And you can see the juvenile hasn't quite developed the colors of the adult yet. So the beak hasn't got its colors yet. But it is starting to get that beautiful red eye. Not quite as prominent. Look at that eye color as that adult comes into the sun. What a beautiful bird. And the juvenile there, and very well behaved. I'm not sure whether it's mom or dad, but one of them called and came running from the buffalo next to it. Look at them balancing as the buffalo has a scratch against... Oh, look at that. Come out a bit, Dave. He's giving that buffalo thorn a good scratching. So buffalo with the buffalo thorn. Oh, he looks like he's enjoying that. Oh, and imagine that. Here comes maybe mom or dad with the rest of the kids on the other buffalo. So we've got 5, 6 yellow-billed oxpeckers with us at the moment. Or actually, I think mom and dad, the other 2 from this buffalo who was scratching, decided he was moving around too much. So I went to the buffalo that is not as difficult to sit on. And he's got the whole fam dam on the back there. Mom, dad, and a sub-adult. So just saying, you find timbertie trees that have been debarked, and they're debarked by buffalo, doing exactly what this particular one's doing to the buffalo thorn. And there's a very particular reason they choose the timbertie tree. As a lot of our viewers will know, it's highly noxious. It has a very poisonous milky latex. And what the buffalo does, obviously that hard horn is keratin, and they rub it against that noxious tree, and they get that milky latex stuck inside those little hollows and rivets that are on the boss of the buffalo, and it acts as a natural fly and tick repellent. Isn't that absolutely amazing? Well, the oxpeckers have taken off. They've gone to look for better buffalo. There we go. Just out of the way. Oh, maybe not into the way. Marianne in Arkansas was actually asking about the timbertie a bit earlier on the safari, and says the white latex reminds her of the milkweed plant, and she's wondering if it's any relation. And none whatsoever. And the poison that it has is quite different from milkweed. we do get milkweeds here as well, and after this bit of rain we might get a few growing in the Mawati drainage. Just want to see if this old man is going to climb into the mud. I'm just going to park opposite, see if he decides to come. How's that, Dave? Perfect. Okay. I'm that good, Dave. It's always perfect. So you can see the buffalo is slowly making his way towards the pan, and these old bulls love these pans. And not only are they a walking smorgasbord of food for the oxpeckers, but if he decides to lie in this pan, every terrapin will be most joyed, and the terrapins will actually swim up to the buffalo and feed off the ticks. So same as the oxpecker, except in the water, feeding off the ticks. But they can be quite a pain to animals like buffalo because they've got very sharp little beaks, and they will often not only get the tick but quite a big lump of flesh as well. So you watch buffalo jump in great discomfort when being latched upon by a terrapin. And I'm actually quite often, when a buffalo first arrives like this, if we look carefully, you can sometimes see the little heads of the terrapin moving at some speed towards the buffalo. Can't see them yet. I'm just going to go back a little bit. I'm behind a bush, but I think you and I will be able to see if I just reverse slightly. We're still good here, Dave?
Yep.
Okay, now I can see as well, see if there's any terrapins have made the discovery that there is a buffalo on its way. No, it seems like terrapins are still a bit sleepy. And it is turning out to be a beautiful day. Very hot at the moment. I'm severely regretting my wardrobe choice this morning. Wearing long pants was not a good idea. I thought it might get a bit cold and rainy again this morning, but it has not. Dave, have you spotted any terrapins? I haven't seen any yet. Have you seen one? Oh, there he is. There's a terrapin looking at the buffalo. Zoom in slightly between the two buffalo. A little bit to the left. There we go, center shot. A little bit right. There we go. Zoom. Here we go. There's a little terrapin there. Is it a terrapin? Looks like it. Quite far away, but probably waiting for that buffalo to lie down so it can have access to all those juicy ticks in the armpits. Oh, look at that buffalo. Not often you see a buffalo drink like that. I think he's just playing. I think he's just having a good time there. He's not actually drinking or playing with the water. Maybe he found a rogue chili plant out in the bush and he needs to cool his mouth down. Now, strange enough, in all my travels in Africa, that is the rogue plant I've found in many, many places. The chili, particularly the bird's eye chili, the little one. There you go. Clean your nostrils. Lovely tasting snot in the morning. There you go. Looks like, there we go. Looks like the other is now copping. Playing with the water again to the left there. Oh, yawn in a stretch. It's been a long night. All those old bones need a bit of loosening up. So Skeptazine on YouTube is wondering, do hippo and buffalo tolerate each other? It all depends on the circumstance. I've seen hippo chase buffalo, I've seen buffalo chase hippo. It all depends on the pressure on the individual animals, but as a general rule, they do tolerate each other. Oh, Looks like these guys are not quite ready to lie down. And I'm sure as it gets warmer, they're going to plonk themselves firmly in this little muddy pan. And I want to say, I think that's an excellent idea, because today is going to be a scorcher. And the sky is incredibly blue after the rain, and there's almost no dust, and look at that. Now, there's a wonderful song by an artist called Johnny Clegg called African Sky Blue. So it's already 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and on that note, we're going to beetle off, and hopefully we can find you some other interesting things. But there we go, Siberia. You wanted buffalo to wrap up the big four for the morning, and you got them. So let's jump back to Jamie with the lions for a little bit, and hopefully we'll find you something fascinating on the way.
And I think not a bad morning at all things considering. Lovely to see the Styx ladies, and there's a good chance, given their current position, that they will be hanging around for the sunset safari as well. I don't know how you guys feel, but I don't think that these lions look set to go anywhere. Nice patch of shade, full bellies, water all around them. Plenty of time to move along. I think they're going to be here for our sunset safari. Definitely looking very relaxed. There's a set of pans not too far from where they are. In fact, just looking around me, I would not even be surprised if that pan didn't have a little bit of water still from those rains that we had. If you look through the trees, not the clearest view, but you can see that muddy patch there. There's a chance that there's a little bit of water in the depression. The lion's not nearly as fussy as the elephants tend to be, so they could well go and decide to have a drink there. One of them resting her paw up against a tree, looking very comfortable. Lions often do that. They find it will make a more comfortable position for their limbs by resting them against a tree, or either their front or their back limbs, or against each other. Something we observe plenty of times, and probably just takes the pressure off the chest cavity, because those legs are fairly heavy. It's just like us shifting around. Now that is one very deeply asleep lion. Done for the day. Of course, if they do decide to stick around for the sunset safari, then we'll get to see what they decide to do as the day gets a little bit cooler and they start to move off. We'll see whether they decide to go north into Vuyatela, or if they go south across the boundary. Not the clearest view of the lion's different body parts, but Sibusiso, one of our viewers, who is also known as the Black Mamba and comes from Hammanskraal in South Africa, Sibusiso was wondering about the tuft of hair at the end of a lion's tail. And he was wondering if it has a special name and if it has a specific purpose. We'll start with the purpose. Yes, it absolutely has a purpose, particularly with that black tip. It allows the lions, it sort of highlights the tail so that the other lions can interpret the way in which the lion is feeling. A thrashing tail, as I mentioned at the start of the sunrise safari, means a cross line, but different flicks in different directions. By highlighting in black, which is a color that stands out fairly clearly, it's a way of just being able to emphasize whatever it is the lions happen to be communicating to each other. There's an old story, an old legend, because there is the bony spur at the base hidden by the fur of the tail. There's an old legend, and I think it actually comes from the Maasai, although I could stand corrected on that a male lion, when he thrashes his tail like that, is actually whipping himself with the spur, with the end vertebra at the end of the tail, and he's whipping himself into an angry frenzy by hurting himself with the tip of his tail, and that's the theory behind why the lion thrashes his tail when he's cross. And indeed an explanation behind the hardened tip at the edge of the tail. That is just a story. They thrash their tail because they're cats, and that's how they communicate. The spur isn't really something that's used to whip them into a heated state of heated emotional state. What's up, girl? You're looking around. Having a good look. She was fast asleep earlier, and then I honestly think she had a bit of a bad dream, because she kind of, I don't know if she heard something or if it was a bad dream, but her head shot up. And
Right was looking up.
Oh, they're both actually looking up. You are right. They're now both looking up. In general, that could just mean that something is moving through the area. It could be impala, it could be a duiker, it could be our young tortoise making his bid for freedom at a rapid pace. That was an incredible sighting for me. I have never seen... I was chatting to Sean while you were with Brent in the buffalo, and he said it's a first for him as well. He's also never seen a tortoise cuddle a lion before. Definitely a nice way to start the morning. Sibusiso, as for what the tuft is called, I think it's just called a tuft. I can't think of a specific name for the end of a lion's tail, to be completely honest with you. I'm racking my brains, I can't think. It might have an anatomical name, but not one that is used with any great consistency. Hey, big girls. We're drawing to the end of our sunrise safari, and I think that Brent would just like to say farewell to you quickly, so I'm going to send you just ever so quickly onto the back of his vehicle, and we'll be back with you shortly.
So welcome back, and being out in the bush, it is a really, really tough environment for the animals. And there's been a lot of debate on social media about Kwatile, a female leopard we do see occasionally. And there has been some reports that she was possibly bitten by a snake. Was not looking very good, and she does have cubs at the moment. And I know a lot of you are very worried about the cubs, and there's been some mention of now interfering and trying to go save those cubs and take them somewhere else. We are in a natural system, and this is how the predator populations are controlled, by things like this happening. And as sad as it is, oh, excuse me, we cannot start interfering, because then we have to start interfering in everything. It's the same thing as that if a snake or a gymnogene grabbed a baby bird, would we stop that gymnogene from getting its meal? And it is very sad, and she is a very beautiful leopard. I know a lot of you are very fond of her. I am very fond of her. I think she's a stunning creature. And it is not confirmed that she has died yet. But if she has, those cubs will die. And that is what nature is, and we mustn't now start fiddling. There's a very good term for what humans quite often like to be. We like to be gardeners in Eden. We are in Eden now, and it's nature at its best, and now we want to garden it. We want to change it to suit our personal needs, which is incorrect. Now, I know a lot of you saying, but we took Sindile away. And there's also some rumors that he might be coming back. I can guarantee you he's not. It would be very, very bad for the whole environment if he came back. Now, Sindile was removed because he took a domestic dog that had tested positive for rabies. So there is where man has interfered on the Eden, and that is why he was removed and that was interfered. But with something like if it has happened to Kwatile, we're not going to get involved. And I know it's very difficult for a lot of you, but I'm afraid that is nature. It's most raw, and it's most beautiful, actually, if you think about it. So on that slightly sad note, let's go back to a very happy note, and back to all the lovely ladies, the Sticks and Jamie.
It's a very sad situation when something like that happens, and of course we all feel it, and we all understand how deeply it does end up affecting people, and how attached you can become to individual animals throughout this natural kingdom. Just something to bear in mind as well from Kwatile's cubs' perspective. If they were to be taken in, and they were to be raised and helped, although I suspect it is long past the possibility of that ever happening. I think that if she is dead, I think they will probably have followed a similar route. Once you take them in and you raise them by hand, or even if you try not to raise them by hand, they lose their natural fear of people. They become dangerous, and what kind of future do they have then? Do you put them in a fenced enclosure for the rest of their lives? Not something any of us want to see. But we've got a lion sighting with the promise of a new generation ahead, and the promise of a lion sighting this afternoon on the Sunset Safari. Thank you as always to Vim for his wonderful camera work. Thank you, Vim, as well as Jerry and Lou in final control, and to Brent entertaining you on the other vehicle. Most importantly, as always, sorry, she's just kicking her in the side as I say goodbye. She just gave her such a kick as she tried to lie down. Thank you to you, the viewers, for joining us and for sending through your questions and your comments. I'm going to say farewell for now and have a wonderful day and enjoy this last view of the Styx lionesses for now. Cheers, guys.